guess we need an intro. Let's go.
Great. Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Entrepreneur 360 podcast. Joined again by Simon. Sim, thank you for joining me again. For those that don't know Simon, go to episode 2 and 3. We introduce her, and 1. We introduce her. But yeah, Sim's helping me tell my story, the journey that I'm on, exiting the corporate world, the rat race, as it were, and just going into the world of being comfortable in the uncomfortable and doing what I'm supposed to be doing and finding my purpose and all of those things. So if you're on a similar journey, you're in the right place. And if you are on a similar journey, let us know about it, man. We're always interested to hear what everyone's journey is about. So today, Sim, I thought, we've obviously spent the last couple of episodes talking about the start of the journey, which is fine. Like where was my jumping off point? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? What was the mindset shift that I had to go through, and I am still going through, which is really cool. We were just talking about cold plunging, and as I said, how do you know if a person does cold plunging? They'll tell you, like vegans and cyclists, we're just as bad. But we were just talking about cold plunging, about like the fact that I went from somebody who would literally stand on the edge of the water in the middle of summer and take 15 minutes to get into the water because I hated cold water so much, and now I'm jumping to 9-degree, 8-degree water every morning for 5 minutes and got no problem with it. It's just, it's all been down to this journey that I'm on. So I'm really loving sharing it and just being on the journey. But today I wanted to talk about what is, getting over the whole, hey man, I'm fucking on this journey and life is good, rah, mindset shift. And then you start to hit a reality of like the unglamorous truth of being an entrepreneur or an extrapreneur in my case, where you're going, I got to start doing the work now, I don't have a salary coming in.
I was going to say, what about the money coming in?
Yeah, you start going, fuck, this isn't so funny actually. Like it was lacquer and I was full of energy and the adrenaline was going, but now I've got to start making ends meet, and
you've got to be accountable to yourself.
You're right, exactly. And I've discovered as well, when you make that decision to be an entrepreneur, you're accountable to other people as well, because maybe you've got family that you're looking after, or you've got employees you're going to employ. You start going, and you start going, fuck, this isn't a joke anymore. It's not, my stress is no longer just getting shouted at by the boss or letting a client down. It's now much more serious than that, because if I don't impress my clients, if I get shouted at by a client, it means that they could leave and then I'm not going to make any money and then I can't afford to pay people. And it's like, it's a real reality. So, I was talking to a guy and he was explaining to me, it was quite funny because he's a good guy. But he was like, I was talking to this guy and he was telling me how he was giving me business advice. He's like, you've got to have a little bit of income coming from that little business and a little bit of income coming from that little business and a little bit. And I was sitting in my head going, bro, you're just describing an entrepreneur. Like that's what an entrepreneur does, kind of thing. I don't think he realized he was describing an entrepreneur, but an entrepreneur really is a job in and of itself. You don't realize, like, as we grow up and we go to university, we go, I want to be an accountant, or I want to be a doctor. Some people walk around going, I want to be an entrepreneur. Actually, I want to be the kind of person who has their finger in a lot of pies and is making a little bit of revenue from 5 different places, with potential for this to explode or that to explode. It is a real job. And it's not a job we don't teach kids about, as far as I know. I haven't been to school in many years, but I don't think we teach kids in school about jobs. We don't even teach them in university about the job. We teach them how to do the job. We teach them how to understand the job. Only when you get out of university and start doing the job do you actually understand how this job works. And I don't think there probably is these days a course on being an entrepreneur, probably. But as far as I can,
might be.
Yeah, I think I might have heard some.
I don't know enough to comment on it, but I think there might be.
Yeah, but I think the reality is that it's like any other job. You learn it as you get into it, and as you start figuring it out and start making the mistakes. And one of the things I've learned about being in this space, in this headspace, you've got to be kind of unconventional thinking. You've got to, because it is quite conventional to say, and when I speak to people now who are just happy to get a salary and whatever, a part of me just does sit there and go, man, what's wrong with you, man? Aren't you ambitious, and don't you want to have a bigger purpose? But then I sit there and go, why are you criticizing them? Like that's how their brain works. And that's what makes them comfortable, and it made you comfortable for a long while. So you can't criticize it. It's a good place to be in for some people. I think I'm just at a place where, as I said, I jumped off and I took the risk, and I'm also started to get very comfortable with risk, which is pretty crazy for me as well. It's a bizarre thing that I'm going through as well personally.
But you've got to be careful with that.
Yeah. No, it's I don't know, maybe it's an age thing, I don't know what it is, but
the world also needs all sorts.
Exactly.
Like you need the entrepreneurs and you need the people that are working for those entrepreneurs.
Right. And I think, it's so funny you say that, because when I first had this idea for this podcast to tell my story and go, who would I be talking to here? One of the core audiences that I figured out was exactly what you just described, is like people who are all sorts. Because I think you do need all sorts. You need those entrepreneurs and you need the people who are willing to just work a job and collect a salary. But a lot of those people who are willing to work a job and collect a salary, that was me. Until I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm fulfilling someone else's purpose. I'm building their dream. I'm making them rich. I don't want to do that anymore. I think there's a lot of people sitting in that space. And for me, that's the definition of an exitpreneur. That's why I call this podcast that name, is because those people are sitting in that position, in jobs, too scared to take that leap. What if it doesn't work? What if I'm not smart enough? What if I'm not good enough?
Well, maybe they don't want to take the risk and they don't want to go out their comfort zone, or they're happy with what they do.
Exactly. And maybe they won't get to the end of their life and go, I regret never taking that risk. Maybe they'll get to the end of their life and go, shit, man, I'm really glad that I never took that risk. I'm quite happy with where I landed up. But I'm talking to those few that are going, I really want to take the risk. And it's quite funny. I've met a few of them already. It's kind of funny how you attract people who you're looking for. Met a few of them already, and they're going, dude, I've got this really good opportunity to start my own thing, but I don't want to walk away from this really sure job that I've got. What should I do? And like, I'm helping them as much as I can, as much as they're helping me through this journey. And one of the guys recently he took the leap, and he was like, he waited till it was the right time. He got his ducks in a row and he got the contract signed for the new thing. But he's taken a huge leap and he's taken a huge risk, and I'm fucking proud of him, because I think he's onto something really great. And
but also very lucky that he had that something to leap to.
Well, exactly. And I think that's one of the things, and talking about the unglamorous truth of it all, is I'm not suggesting that people just walk into their job tomorrow and just put down their resignation letter and say, right, I'm out, done. You've got to be smart about it. You've got to make sure that you know where you're going and have a plan. And I was very deliberate about planning what my next steps were and what was I going to do, and where am I going to play. There's a great book called Playing to Win, which is also phenomenal. It talks about where should you be playing and how are you going to win there. You can't just go somewhere, play wherever you want to play. You've got to be playing somewhere that you can win, and you've got to set yourself up for success. So I'm not suggesting, obviously, that you just walk out. You might have a family, you need like kids you need to put through school or whatever it is. So don't be stupid. But one of the things about the unglamorous truth of being in this new journey is obviously the sleepless nights and the stress of it all, because it is. My relationship with sleep in particular was always weird over the last 8-9 years, because we had an office in Australia, which I would wake up to bullshit from their side and like problems and all that stuff, and then we had our operations team was in Pakistan, and I wake up to bullshit from their side, all the operations, all the problems with the clients. Then I was in South Africa, so I would wake up. They'd had 2 or 3 hours or 5 hours or 8 hours on me to do stuff, and then I would wake up to this barrage of bullshit. And then I went and moved to LA, which took me back to like another 12 hours, which like exacerbated the problem. But my relationship with sleep was always so crazy. But now I'm finding that the stress doesn't go away. I think us as adults, we need stress. It's not a totally bad thing for us. I think stress keeps us alert, and it keeps us moving, and it keeps us motivated. Too much stress, I think, is bad. It's like anything in life. Too much drinking, too much food, too much sex. It's all bad for us if we do it too much. But if we keep it within moderation, I think it's a good thing. I'm a very moderate person. But the sleepless nights for me now have been much more around excitement and around like, fuck yeah, I've got to do that in the morning. Get up and fucking do it. No waiting around, no procrastinating. We talked about procrastinating in that other episode, but it's hard to get over the procrastinating. But just having that excitement around knowing that you've got to get out of bed for yourself. You're not getting out of bed for someone else now. You're getting out of bed for yourself. Getting out of bed because it's your success and your reputation on the line. It's not someone else who's paying your salaries, business, and they're getting the dividends, and they're just going to give you, when I was getting out of bed for that, it was because I was, fuck, what am I going to deal with this morning? What's gone wrong with that project? Let me go figure it out. Let me just get ready. Oh, I didn't send that email. Those were the stresses. Now the stress is much more existential for me. It's about success and reputation in a big way, which I think has been quite interesting because it's helped me. Those sorts of sleepless nights in a way have helped me get over that initial burst. When you first start out, you got this initial burst of excitement and you're like, fuck yeah, let's just go do it. And slowly as the months tick by, the energy runs out a little bit and you start realizing the real reality of, oh my God, I've actually got to do this. And oh my God, I was so excited. This is a no-brainer. This was going to work. And it actually didn't work. So now I've got to go find out a new thing, and you've got to pivot what you're doing with that employee that you've got. And maybe I can spend a little bit more of his time on that job, and rather than, which is exciting. It's strategic, which is quite lacking and I'm quite enjoying. But you've got to figure everything out, and you've also got to realize that when you work for someone else, you go into a job, you go get hired and you start a job and they give you everything you need. Here's your pricing, this is your sales process, this is your email, everything. When you go out on your own and you've got to start businesses on your own, you've got to figure everything out on your own. You've got to figure out the pricing. And figuring out pricing isn't as easy as just, what do the competitors charge? Oh yeah, let's just charge that. It's not that simple. You got to figure out the sales, like where you're going to find people. You got to figure out supplies. Where can I get things at a cheaper price? How do I rate? You've got to do all of this other business stuff that you didn't think that you take for granted when you work for someone else.
I was going to say it's great on the job training.
Yeah.
You can't prepare for a lot of the stuff.
100%. You can't. And I suppose that's what we was talking about. A university degree is their one. It's probably what they prepare you for. Maybe, I hope, saying, hey, listen. You worked that job at McDonald's and you just were taught how to work the register. Yeah, well, now you've got to go figure out where to buy the register and how to fill it with petty cash. And then you've got to figure out where you're going to get your buns from. It's like, it's all on you, bro. None of this is being done for you now, which is scary, but it's also fucking exciting. It fills you with a bit of energy. There's a lot of, and the mistakes you make, kind of remind you that this isn't going to be easy. It's not an easy journey. And as you go along, it's not going to be easy, but the freedom that you've got and the ability to make your own decisions and live and die by your own stuff-ups is pretty cool. I must say I quite enjoy that.
So I always thought of it as setting up and running headlines as giving me the best and the worst of all worlds.
Yes.
Exactly as you say. It's the best because you have that freedom and flexibility, and the worst is that the responsibility and accountability sits with you.
Yeah.
And I suppose you've got to weigh up the pros and cons of each, and everyone's going to be different.
Right,
it's whatever's important to you at that time.
100%. And you actually said something interesting. I don't know if it was in another episode when you talked about resilience. And I've discovered that, thank God, I'm a very resilient human being. I mean, I think it's, as you know, from my history, like childhood cancer and then my brother being shot and my dad's sickness and all that, it's taught me to be super resilient. I am an exceptionally resilient human being. I wish I could be 1/10 the resilience of my sister or my mother, but I'm trying. A very resilient human being. But what you just described is it's about resilience. It's about, and not everybody has that. I think entrepreneurs generally have a lot of resilience. They're able to get punched in the face, and then as they fall into the ground, get kicked in the balls, and as they're getting kicked in the balls, break their knee, and then go, all right, cool, well, let's just get up and keep moving forward.
And make many mistakes while they're doing it.
Totally. And I think it's a very unique character trait that not everybody has. Because as you say, like when you were starting headlines, you had to go through all of that stuff and go, hey, this is how this started, that is how that started, this didn't go well, that didn't go well, this pitch didn't come through, that pitch didn't come through. I got to just keep moving, man.
Yeah, one foot in front of the other and just
keep pushing.
Yeah.
Well, and actually to that, one of the things I wanted to share as well was talking about stress and dealing with it. So I'll admit, man, over the years with my previous business and even before that, I I wasn't particularly good at dealing with, my mind wasn't strong. Although I'd gone through a lot of stuff in my life and I'd picked up a lot of great lessons about like being grateful for what you've got and all that, I don't feel like my mind was very strong. I think a lot of people around me would say, no, your mind was very strong because they know me, but I don't think to my standards that I'm at now, my mind was strong. I feel like where my mind is now is much stronger than I've ever been in my life. And one of the things where I really struggled to deal with stress, because I just wasn't listening, or I wasn't implementing what I was being taught or what it was, but I wasn't very good at dealing with stress. I would just, and I don't think most people are, I think most people just let it wash over them and they're resilient and they just push forward and they go, fuck, I'm just going to get out of bed because I've got kids to feed.
It can also be a huge motivator.
100%. But what I've discovered is when you do take control of your destiny and you start making decisions that are, you stop being, we talked in one of the episodes about the bitch voice versus the boss voice. When you stop being a bitch and you start being a boss and you actually start saying, hey man, this is stress. I'm not doing well today. I just lost that pitch, but I've got a decision. Like it happened to me this morning. It's so funny we bring it up. This morning I was going to go cold plunge. I was going to go swim and I knew it was going to be cold. It was going to be it was going to be 9-10 degrees. And it was cold. I just finished yoga and strength training and I was like, and I always swim in the morning because then it's done. And I said to myself, oh, well, it's fine. Sim's coming over. We're going to do the podcast and then I'll go for a swim after. It's fine. I'm just not going to do it now because I'm in a bit of a rush and I need to get out to that meeting. And I literally started walking towards the shower and I had to stop myself. And I literally said out loud, I said, that's your bitch voice. And I turned myself around and I went that way and I got what I need to do to go do the cold plunge. I would never have done that in the past. Like that is the jumping into the cold water. It's that decision to say, no, stop being a bitch and be a boss. Just go and do it. You said you're going to do it every day of the year.
It's not going to get easier.
It's not exactly. In fact, it's going to get harder. It's going to get colder. What are you doing? What are you procrastinating to put? That's something that 75 Hard taught me. You can't say, hey, I'll do my 45-minute workouts later on in the day. You won't. Do it now because it's just not going to happen. And like, it's a real, that's what I was saying about like helping me get over some of the stress stuff that I've been through and like helping me handle some of the stress. And I'm so proud of myself the way that I'm able to handle the stress now as opposed to like, I was going through a lot of stress. Obviously when my dad was very sick, there was a lot of sleepless nights for bad reasons and all that. And during my time in my previous business even, it was I have PTSD over a lot of the stress that I had. I really do have PTSD. Because I'm a snowflake in that way. But one of the most important things that I've learned, figured out how to deal with stress is with exercise. And I know we've all heard it and people say to us, yeah, exercise helps with stress and it does this to your brain, it does that to your brain. I'm telling you now unequivocally, if you're stressed, if you come home from a bad meeting, if you lose a pitch or whatever it is, do yourself a favor and just go for a run. Just go. It is legitimately, physiologically something that happens in your body. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a biokinetic, whatever you want to call it. But something makes you feel better. And something gives you that energy to go. That mindset, it fixes your mind, literally. I've done it a few times in the last few months where I've gone, hey, that didn't go well. Right off for a run. Like I've almost
Isn't it that the dopamine levels?
It's got to do with something. It releases serotonin or whatever it is. But whatever it does, legitimately in your brain.
You're living proof.
I'm telling you that guys, if you're listening to this and you find it hard to deal with stress, please just listen to me. Go stress in the gym. Go stress on the road. Go just for half an hour, for 45 minutes, for an hour. Go and do some exercise. Something that's not to do with the thing that you're dealing with right now. Go do something that's almost shitter than what you're dealing with right now. There's an unbelievable guy I watched on YouTube. He changed my perception of taking breaks from work. But I'll share it in another episode because it's worth another episode. It's so good. And it's got to do with this idea of go do something that's worse. It's worse. It's sitting at a computer and fixing the problem is going to make you feel a little bit better. What's not going to make you feel better? Go to run 10Ks. Go feel shit for 10Ks. So that when you do have to come back and fix that problem, you're going to feel so much better. You're like, at least I'm not running 10Ks. Let me just sort this out. It's about mindset. It's about perception and how you deal with stuff. Anyway, I'm getting off the topic. I don't even know if I've got anything else to say about this. I just wanted to share that this, where my headspace is at around stress, because I know a lot of people who are making who are thinking about that leap, thinking about that journey of do I leave this job and go and do what I think I can be great at and be the best in the world at? No, I don't, because of the stress will be too much and I don't want to live with that. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I'm telling you, it is shit and there's going to be stress, but it's manageable stress and it's stuff that if you can get your mindset right, and hopefully that's what we're doing here, sharing this podcast. We're helping people understand the journey of how to get your mindset right and what you need to do to get it right so that you can walk the journey in a straight, as little stress away as possible. That's all I have to say. You done?
I'm done.
Thank you, guys. As always, give us the HBO special, help a brother out special, please. Give us a like and a subscribe on the podcast and share this with someone if you feel they'll take some benefit out of it. Goodbye.